And we will have an interview with the artist Sara Frucht. And there is Sara and her friend Julie, and go.
Sara, this is an amazing show. I am so excited for you.
Thank you.
I just want to ask you, what got you into painting after so many years of not being into it? What was that turning point for you?
Oh, you mean when? Like 7 years
like doing
ago?
These paintings, yeah.
I don't know. I never used to think of myself as an artist, you know. I was always kind of like good at drawing when I was a kid and everything, but my sister was the artist in the family. She just has more natural talent and just always could draw better than me. And she went to art school and everything. And, you know, and I didn't really know what I would want to do as an artist anyway, even if I were an artist. But I would do, you know, sketches and stuff. And then one day I had this friend, Nanette, who was an artist. And I was friends with her for a year or so. And, you know, she never really wanted to see me that much. She kind of kept me at arm's length. And then one day I brought my sketch pad over. I said, yeah, I do a little drawing. Mm-hmm. And she just went nuts over it, you know, because actually my ability to render realistically was much better than hers, you know, so she was really, really impressed. And then she wanted to hang out with me all the time, you know.
Ulterior motive here.
Well, it was just bizarre, really, but I thought it was great, you know. And
why not? It got you to paint more.
Well,
right?
yeah, and then I started thinking of myself as an artist, you know, and I would do some stuff with pastels, but you know, pastels, if you want to go over something, it's kind of... it's not opaque enough, you know, so I always thought that I wanted to paint, you know, but I just didn't get around to it until probably oh yeah, I was unemployed, that's what did it. So I just said, you know, I'm going to teach myself how to paint, you know. So I just started painting, and it was great because I was painting practically every day, and you know, at some point I just started figuring it out, and it was really with the still lifes that I started really feeling like I was getting control of it, you know. I was doing these things, so like that one, this one's really an early one, and I was painting from life and everything. Then I started photographing things and, you know, looking at it on the computer because I can't see that well, so if I can just have the picture on the computer, I can look at it, whereas if it's something sitting there, I have to like get it lit up, and then I have to have my canvas lit up, and then I have to like be looking at it, and so, but actually these recent ones that I've been doing, like this, these are all little setups that I've done in my office, because I've just been in the mood for doing things from life lately, so I've done a bunch of those.
So we see a super realism, you know, charged with all this beautiful coloration on the edges that brings this certain kind of life to your work. And what is it that you do? How do you work with those bits of color as outlines around things? And how did you come up with that idea?
Well, one thing was when I started painting, one of the first things I tried to paint was this bright pink rose that was just like electric pink, you know, and especially because I had this light shining right on it, so it was super, super bright, which is how I like things. And then I tried to paint it, and the paint just looked like chalk, you know. I was using this pink paint, and then I wanted to, of course, model it, and so I tried mixing it with white, and then it looked really, really chalky and horrible. And so then I just said, oh, okay, I have to do everything I can do to make things look as bright as they look in real life, you know. So
almost like they're moving.
Yeah. Well, another thing is that something going on with my eyes. I actually have nystagmus, so my eyeballs vibrate. So I probably so I probably see these after images. I actually see these edges and these colors on the edges.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Because it makes your work just pop in this way that's, you know, it just gives them a life as though they're going to come right out of the canvas.
Yeah. Well, thanks, you know, and the thing is that I was saying before, I'll paint it and sort of get it to a point where everything's where it's supposed to be and it looks more or less done. And that's when the painting really starts for me, because then I start messing around with it. So, and, you know, I actually sing and, you know, chorus, I do a lot of choral singing. And so I sort of think of that last part as actually making it sing, you know, like the painting is there, but you have to make it sing, you know, you have to make it jump out, and you have to make every part of it look really exciting and everything. So, so that's the most fun part to work on.
So Sara, what I notice about your work in terms of composition is that you, first of all, like to bring a lot of your images right up and close and personal. You know, as though we're about to grab them, you know, or we're about to sit right on the trunk of the tree, you know, at the trunk of the tree. So there's something about that up close that seems to be fascinating for you, that you love that kind of perspective. But in addition to that, you have really beautiful compositions, meaning you decide, for whatever reason, why are you putting the tree in this particular spot, or why do you, let's say, put this ball not in the center, and then you have this part leading us out, and how do we move around the painting? Like, how do you think about how we move around the painting and how to work with the composition so that we don't just go out and don't want to come back?
Well, okay, the up-close thing just has to do with the fact that I'm nearsighted. So I don't really feel like I grasp it unless I see it up close. And so I think probably my aesthetic just involves seeing things really clearly, and so that is seeing them up close. And so that's what I really focus on. And in terms of the composition, I think part of it is I'll see something that's really scrumptious that I want to paint, you know, but sometimes I want to get a little bit of something else in there too, and so, you know, but then I don't want, if you have it just sitting in the middle, it's kind of static, you know, so you have to have it, so you have to have the best parts of everything on there, and then not, you know, and then have some stuff going off the canvas, or else it just isn't interesting. I don't know. But that part is probably more intuitive. It's not like I'm thinking, oh, I have to have the person's eye travel around the canvas. Like I find actually that a lot of compositional elements I discover them after I finish the painting. You know, so it wasn't anything I planned, but sometimes I'll see, you know, sort of mirrored images or repeated shapes or something that I didn't even know were in there.
Beautiful.
You know, so I think a lot of it is just kind of unconscious.
But you're looking for repeated shapes, so it sounds like you are conscious about it, because repeated shapes really is what makes a good composition.
I guess so. I probably am, but I'm just not aware of it. And then sometimes I'll see it afterwards, you know, and I'll just notice all these things that I didn't know were there.
I hear you, because that's what painting is like. It's a conversation, you know, between you and whatever you're doing, and it's going to inform you sometimes, right?
Probably.
You know,
probably,
and then you tell it, and then it tells you, and that's
right.
Making good art, I think. So I have a question for you about light. Sara, I really love lighting in work in general, and in yours, you're using all my favorite ways of lighting things, like iridescence, where you have like multiple colors kind of mingling, or you have luminosity, where you have a bright color surrounded by darker tones, and then you have sometimes luster, where things are just bright and shiny. I don't want to get this off, but you know, that just like those things, I love those, and I know you do too, and I just would love for you to share your feeling about light.
Well, maybe I sort of assume that it also has to do with my vision issues, that I really like to have things brightly lit. And, you know, I remember being shocked when I spoke to a friend of mine who's a photographer, and he said, oh, you know, 7 in the morning, like on a foggy day, is the best time to do photography because, you know, the lighting is good at that time. I said, what? You know, like everything's really flat. How can you like that? That's really interesting, you know. I mean, you know, it's fascinating, but for me, I just like the colors to be the brightest, and with leaves, I love the color coming through the leaf and everything. And the first thing when I was starting to paint still lifes and really started feeling like I was figuring things out was I had actually gone and painted in plein air painting like a year before that, and I had this little jar of water that was a round jar of water, and it had been sitting on the floor of my office for like a year, and I had been admiring it. And I think that was one of the things that got me to paint, you know, because I just wanted to paint that little round jar.
Yeah.
So,
and the light coming through the water and all that.
Oh, it just looked so beautiful, you know. So and this is how clueless I was as a painter. I just stuck it on my table and I started painting it, and then I said, oh my God, there's all this other stuff around it. It's like there are these rolls of tape, and you know, there's like
painting.
I know, yeah, it has
we
like
own that
CD.
painting.
Oh, that's a different. That was like the one I did after that. You know? No, but then there are these CD like jewel cases sitting there, and the bookcase with like the stapler on it, and like books and pieces of paper. So I just ended up painting all of those things too, you know, and that was really cool. It's like,
and you even imbued them with the very light techniques that you put on something that has light that's natural on it. Meaning that the luminosity that you would normally see on something like a sky, you put on a roll of tape.
Yeah,
no, I'm just saying, you find ways to put lighting on anything.
Because otherwise it doesn't look good.
Right,
you know?
right.
And it does. If the colors are really bright, then you're going to have these things going on with, like the contrasting color being in there. And, you know, this one painting I did where I was determined to only use gray, used more colors than anything else. Like every single color that I put down there, used every single thing on my palette, you know. But I really like that one too. But,
okay, so Sara, this is your still life, landscape. That's the particular area that you're focusing on now. For your next group of work, do you have any idea? Do you want to keep in this with the same subject matter? Do you have a sense of where you're going?
No, not really. Although I did pick up some dead leaves from the ground recently. I mean, the thing is that I see things and then I really want to paint them, but unfortunately I have a full-time job right now, so
which is fortunate and unfortunate.
Yes, it's both. But some of my best work has come out of cases of deep unemployment and poverty. But anyway, I don't know what I'm going to do, so hopefully I'll do something soon.
Well, Sara, just whatever you do, keep it up.
Oh,
You're incredible.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you. That's it.